Alright, Smastian here, playing the Object 140 on the map Cliff. Hey, look at that, I remembered a map name for once. Um, Before we get into the round, I'm going to take a quick look at the team lists, and it's not so much a prediction, given that I already know how the round went. But I want to sort of highlight exactly the kind of cards that were in my team's favor in order to bring about the outcome in this round. So, on our side, we have 3 players who achieved gold rank in various ranked seasons, and 1 guy who achieved silver ranking in ranked season 1, and another guy who achieved bronze ranking in ranked season 2. On the enemy team, there's only the 1 person who achieved a gold rank in ranked, and 2 who achieved bronze and 1 who achieved silver. The team spread is fairly evenly balanced. 2 heavy tanks on our side, only 1 heavy tank on the enemies. But on our side, we only have the 6 medium tanks, whereas on the enemies, there are 7. Furthermore, team lists for tank destroyers are roughly equivalent. And we have a mirror matchup of light tanks. 1 Sheridan each, and 1 T100 LT each. So, going right into the swing of things, now that that has been, well, I actually forgot to say why I was calling attention to it, but I'll do so now. The reason why I'm calling attention to this is to highlight the fact that already I can see that on my team we have a far greater number of players who are highly effective in the games that they play, based off of the kind of rankings they have achieved in the ranked season. Whereas on the enemy team, there is a dearth of equivalently competent players. And this, as we shall see throughout the match, will have a pretty important effect on the outcome of the battle. So, our initial instinct, now that we actually got the round started, is to get myself into the E3 location. And some might wonder why I'm not going up the 2 line in order to get to that location, given that it is the straightest shot I had. And that is because tank destroyers love to camp the 1-2 line in order to prevent cheeky mediums like myself from actually getting into the E3 or F3 position, depending on which side you spawn on. However, coming up this way, the long way around, you do expose yourself to a fair bit of potential fire from medium tanks, such as that Object 140, who we fired a speculative shot at, but it didn't go in, and he, while moving into position, could have maybe taken a shot, but didn't, and we get safe without taking damage. And right now I'll point out another really important aspect of this round, and that is that artillery is not present on either team. So, I can actually very safely inhabit the E3 location with more or less, with some impunity. Okay. I mean, the only trouble I have is from people who are still crossing the B5, C5 grid squares, such as the Type 5 Heavy, the Jagdpanzer 100, and the FV215B183, and folk like that M48 Patton who I just took a shot at, and depending on how far I expose myself, people on the hill at E6. So, moving forward, I'm keeping myself hull down in this little depression, taking side shots at folk who are moving into position or just, standing out in the open, pointing their guns at the sky, and lighting up anyone who stays too long in my line of fire. The blistering rate of fire of the Object 140 essentially allows me to take down half that guy's health, more or less, and to continue bullying anyone who is still in that location in front of me, like that FV215B183, who we get a side shot into his turret, somewhat luckily, We were a bit left of his turret, but it still managed to go in. Our aiming reticule was still on target, but whatever. We are somewhat loath now to move ourselves further up into the line of fire of that Jagdpanzer 100, who is currently still camping C5 and preventing me from putting flanking shots into people at E6 and E5. So we decide to fall back a little and take another angle on the folk at E6, such as that Sheridan, who takes a shot from us, and who's going to go AFK later, and who we're going to farm. Now we get into a bit of a sniping match with an Objekt 140. My front hull is angled well enough that apparently he's auto-bouncing his heat shells, whereas I'm still using largely a PCR, except for this one shell that I decided to load right now. I side scrape around the corner, give him a lovely shot at my tracks, which he again bounces, and I am not able to RNG a shot into his commander's cupola, which is the weakest spot of his turret. Likewise, that is, I believe, what he may have been trying to do to me as well, but it wasn't working out for him. This is when I noticed that the Objekt 430U and the Objekt 140 on the enemy teams are making a push into the F2, E2 valleys, or F2, E2 grid square. And my job now is to try to suppress them. I went for a tracking shot, it didn't end up working, and I fudged the angling of my tank a little, tried to reverse, went up the mountain a little and gave the Objekt 430U a clearer shot at me. But now that the TVP 5051 is trying to help me, I'm now trying to put myself in a position to help kill these two isolated tanks. So we continue to just, donk shots into this guy, and auto-aim was not our friend there, but fortunately the other Objekt 140 on our team, Chino here, managed to pick up the kill, and this is when we notice a Batchat making a YOLO charge. We put a shot into the back of his turret, and we now notice an Objekt 268 version 4, and we're now in for a bit of a troubling time, given that the only part of his tank that I'm able to shoot at is that T-bar commander's binocular cupola thing, for which I still need to use high explosive anti-tank because, despite intuitions, it's not a weak spot. Or at least it's not much of a weak spot. So, we're now putting shots into the Batchat, who, again, isolated himself behind our lines, and we farm a bit of damage off the Sheridan, if he's willing to oblige us by standing still. And I'm not paying attention, a little tunnel vision a bit, and the M48 Patton puts a shot into me. And it's at this point that I decide I need to retask and start taking shots at an Objekt 268 version 4, or the Jagdpanzer 100 now that he's shown himself. He's not looking at me, so I put a shot into his track, try to retrack him, but he puts his track up, so I take the opportunity to put a shot into his lower glacis and get back into cover, and, well, I'm just driving back and forth, hopefully maybe trying to juke a shot out of him, or make time for my Jagdpanzer 100 to move up and get a flanking shot into Make America Great Again. Look, don't ask me, that's his name. So, our Jagdpanzer 100 takes him out, and we consider pushing into the Objekt 268 version 4, but it's a pretty tough tank to go up against, so instead I decide to farm a bit more damage off this Sheridan, and I pick up the kill. Objekt 268 version 4 fired, so now I feel comfortable coming back round and helping the two Jagdpanzer 100s push a bit into him. And that little bounce there alerted me to the fact that, in fact, the STRVs on the enemy team, who are platooned, are looking this way, and I need to try to find a better angle on this whole situation. So I'm using my Jagdpanzer 100s as cover from both the STRV and the Objekt 268 version 4. I put a shot into his commander's cupola, and the other Jagdpanzer takes him down. I consider pushing forward, um, largely because in the heat of the moment you think maybe pushing forward's a viable thing you can do. But the Jagdpanzer 100 is still taking a lot of shots from the STRVs and the K91, which are occupying the A5 grid square. It's actually a pretty powerful sniping position. The mirror position on the southern flank is the K5 position. And so, knowing that they're there, because there's really no other place they can be, I try my best to move up, um, in order to get them spotted from, I don't know, somewhere like the B2 location. And so I'm slowly moving myself up, thinking maybe that the K91 is likely in the bushes somewhere in Cap and he's remained unspotted this entire time. So I'm edging slowly forwards, and rather than hugging the map border at the one line, I stray a bit too far forward, I get spotted by an STRV-103B or even the K91, and I get taken down. Scores, oddly enough, are closer than I expected them to be at this point. But now that the K91 got spotted, well, he's now in a bit of a shooting gallery. People are just taking him down, and that's sort of it. The Type 5 Heavy gets spotted by the STRB, or STRV-103B, who takes him down while on the move, it seems, and sets himself up with a sniping angle on the K91 and the two STRVs, who are in the A5 location. And it's the Sheridan, who I believe is going to be spotting them. I switch over to the view of the Jagdpanzer 100. And STRV gets spotted, somewhat predictably. And they get taken down, and it's just a case of mopping up the K91 now. And that's about a wrap for this round. Once this K91's dead, we'll move on to the end plates promptly. Come on, take him out already. One more shot. Come on. There it is. Let's go to the end plates. Alright, so taking a look at the end plates, we can see that I managed to get myself a high caliber and a Confederate medal for doing 6,521 points of damage, getting only one kill, but assisting in the destruction of 7 other vehicles, and getting 173 points of assistance damage, which isn't much. But from what I can tell, we were probably spotting for a lot of our own damage. Regardless, that only ended up being a second-class mastery badge, as we'll see with the next still frame, where I only managed to somehow get 1,059 base experience, which likely means I wasn't spotting for a lot of my own damage. Now, this is where I'm going to bring the stuff I mentioned at the beginning of this video, how the players who do well in ranked battle mode tend to have a really drastic effect on the outcome of the game. I'm going to bring that back here, specifically to say that, well, both me and WoW from OtterClan were the two highest damage dealers on our team, although he didn't get a pretty high base experience, but that's because he's in a battle barn, the FE 4005. He's made of paper, so he can't really spot for his own damage. Furthermore, Dreamfighter also came in fairly high on the team, as well as Rommel in the TVP T5051. And another one, and this, I don't remember what this medal means, but it has something to do with clan wars. And it means something to the effect that you were either a really good Clan Wars player during one of the clan seasons, or that your clan did really well. And Otter is a really good clan. And you see that people who did really well in either clan wars or ranked battles tend to occupy the top spots on a team. However, That's also because we are driving fairly powerful machines. Now, on the enemy team, the Type 5 Heavy didn't do as well as he likely should have, but he still managed to pull through a fairly good game, despite all the early damage he received from me and my friends. Um, he still managed to put himself in a really high position on his team, as well as Zankuro in the Object 268 version 4, who we were bullying. Um, he also managed to get a pretty high spot, but that's largely due to the fact that his vehicle is really powerful despite all the nerfs it's gotten. And at tier 10, these sorts of observations are really crucial to determining how a team is likely to do and to assessing whether or not you can play aggressively or whether you have to play more conservatively. Because the enemy team probably wasn't paying all that much attention to how many players on my team were of a fairly good caliber, at least in ranked battles. And as such, they pushed forward far more aggressively than they likely should have, instead of letting us make the aggressive push, at which point they would let us overextend and take us down. Now, another point of note, and this is about overpowered tanks again, is that the STRV 103B platoon managed to come in at the top for their team, as well as the Patton, which is testament to how good this guy actually plays, given that he's able to make the Patton work with 3,200 points of damage on a defeat. But STRVs are really potent vehicles. They fire really rapidly, they have a really high alpha for their rapid fire capacity, and they are stealthy as all hell and able to remain unspotted throughout an entire round, right up until the end, more or less. And so, had things gone just a slight bit worse towards the end there, it's entirely likely that these two would have been able to take down the remainder of my team. But fortunately, my teammates set up a pretty good crossfire. They surrounded them completely and dealt with them accordingly. And just taking a quick final look at the post battle results, or at least the post. Let's try that again. Taking one final quick look at the credits earned and experience earned, I managed to pull in a profit for that round, together with 16 bonds for coming in top of the team, for which you receive 12 bonds, as well as 4 from the various rewards I had, i.e., the High Caliber and the Confederate, giving me 3 and 1 bond respectively. That said, that'll be the end of this episode. Leave a like, leave a comment, leave a subscription. Let me know how we're doing. And I'm also going to be experimenting with a different upload format. And let me know if anything has changed, whether or not the quality has gotten worse or better. And aside from that, I'll be seeing you in other rounds. Have a good day.